Welcome on in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live Champions League edition. It's Tuesday, the 10th of December. You're with Steve Wyss and our Director of Content, Nigel Seeley, is alongside me. You're looking very smart today, Nigel.
Well, we both are. Didn't you get the memo to wear the tie? You didn't get the memo to this. This is a new. Look at this. We feel like something from Sports Centre or some the commentators from the golf, the final round of the Masters. That's what I feel like I'm dressed up here today. But also, I feel like I'm a holiday rep down in Pontins. If any English or British people are watching the show, or funny from the UK, that's what I feel like. Knobbly Knees contest down by the pool with Simon Holden. That's what I feel like.
I feel like I'm one of those presenters in Skegness or somewhere along those lines, or a cruise ship sort of territory. But welcoming everyone.
Singing the officer, me and Steve will sign out with singing "Love Lifts Us Up Where We Belong" from The Officer and the Gentleman at the end of the show.
So many comments already. We've got this one here stood out to me just now. I'm trying to find it. Brian, my girlfriend will leave me if I place another bet, so I need to know if I should go over or under in the intergame. Thanks. We will come to that. Stay tuned, Brian, and we will sort your relationship out. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, do put in what your best bets are today. Welcoming everyone so far. So many comments. I can't just go through them all, but we've got to go through the whole card of the Champions League as always, as we do on every occasion here. 2 early games and then 7 late fixtures. 2 teams from the British Isles are in action early doors here. 12:45 Eastern, Dinamo Zagreb against Celtic. Celtic minus money favourites, minus 109 now. There's been a little bit of a move towards them. Over 2.5 goals is now minus 150. This is not the sort of time of year you really want when you go into Eastern Europe normally, Nigel. But Celtic, I mean, they've had a much better Champions League campaign so far. Just 1 defeat so far. It was a very heavy one. Dinamo Zagreb in contention. There's plenty at stake here for both teams. Is the gulf between them as big as the odds suggest?
I think this is a very, very tricky card tonight. I'm not going to make my excuses, but I think it's a very, very tricky card. I'm going to give you a lot of leans, probably bet a couple of big picks, but I'll give you some statistics and you can make your own mind up here. I'm not really got many bets. So I think tomorrow is the much better card. And obviously tomorrow you'll be on with Will White. Today looks tricky, so I'm not really making my excuses, but I do think it looks tricky. But this first match here, I mean, I don't understand the odds. I really don't understand the odds about this match. Dinamo Zagreb, as you said, this time of year is a tough place to go. Is using the old cliche, but it's not as cold across Europe as it has been in years gone by. It's 5 degrees, so it's quite pleasant. It's probably warmer than Glasgow, so it's not really that much of a problem with the weather here. But the odds here, just to me, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I really cannot buy this. I know Zagreb started off with a 9-2 defeat against Bayern Munich, but since then at home they drew with Monaco in a 2-2 draw. They won against Salzburg 2-0, and they won against Bratislava 4-1. And Celtic are the Jekyll and Hyde team in the whole of European football, what they are at home at Parkhead to what they are away from home. Do you know what their record is in a whole, since they started in the Champions League away from home? In 2001, when the Champions League group stages came in, the Champions League new stage came in, they've played 41 matches, Celtic. How many have they won?
4.
They've won 2. They've lost 34 and drawn 5. That is their road record. They haven't won on the road in the Champions League since 2017 against Anderlecht. And you're asking to play minus money here. Now, if you look at this group, right, if you looked at this betting and you thought, okay, Celtic are playing a side in, say, 33rd in the table or something like that, who realise they can't possibly got a chance of making the knockout stages, you might be able to justify the minus 110. But Zagreb are 23rd in the table. So they've got everything to play for here. And I think you've got to be really, really brave to take Celtic here at minus 110. A draw wouldn't be a bad result for Celtic. And the other thing, this weekend, Celtic are in the cup final domestically where they play Rangers. I think Zagreb here are a tad of value at plus 285 on the money line. I think plus a half on the Asian handicap where you get the draw as well at minus 112 is superb. And they've got goals in them. I mean, if you go through the top goal scorers in the Champions League, They've got a striker who's got 3 goals in 5 matches. They've got a playmaker in Martin Batterino. Is that how we pronounce his name? Batterino. He's a 21-year-old guy who Man City are looking at to come to the Premier League, but if he wants to take the chance on playing Championship football next season. But I just can't get away from the fact with this away record of Celtic being minus money. It's a team that came to be bet Celtic against an unfashionable side in Zagreb, and the value is on the home team here at plus 285, and certainly on the Asian handicap at half. I'll be taking Celtic on completely at these prices. I mean, that comment there, I don't trust Zagreb at all. Well, you play 41 times where you played Celtic away from home, and they've only won for you twice. So I can't really trust them either.
I mean, I certainly can't trust Celtic minus money away from home with that record. Tom Lipton's made a good point there that there is an injury crisis in Zagreb. I'll be honest, I looked at this list. I'm not that familiar with the Zagreb team. Do you know where I'm coming from? So it's difficult to perhaps comment on that. But one thing I will say, whereas there's some teams now in this competition whose their motivation might be a little bit questionable, it's definitely not the case with Dinamo Zagreb. They're 23rd, like you said. They have absolutely everything to play for. And if they actually want to qualify for the next round, they've got to be targeting this game. Celtic at home is one of the easier games you can have in Europe. It's completely different away from home. So they're not going to lack for motivation. Someone there said, Anthony Graves, he's looking at the corners angle in this match. Fair enough, Anthony. I think it's I agree with you. It's a tough card. All these matches today. This one in particular, I think, I think it's a trap. For those who are just looking at the reputation and name, I think it's a trap for those who are just going to bet wildly on Celtic. I mean, you've also
got you've got that massive match of the weekend as well. That hasn't been factored in. I mean, Celtic playing Rangers, first silverware of the season in an Old Firm derby at Hampden Park Cup final. That's a massive match. I think he'd take a draw here, Brendan Rodgers. Get a draw here. I mean, obviously you want to win it, but I think 25 minutes to go, I think both sides would be quite happy with a draw with 2 fixtures to go. And I just don't think the Celtic price. I mean, I know there's been a lot of time between these matches here, and obviously we're saying there that Zagreb have got a bit of an injury crisis. I'm not really 100% of all the players that Zagreb have and don't have at their disposal, but they've never beaten Zagreb. They've played 3 times in this fixture, and they've never, ever beaten Zagreb. Zagreb has won every single match. I know they've been a bit of a while ago, but they've won every single fixture. And if you look at Celtic's remaining matches, they're at home to Young Boys, where you would think they would win. And then they've got Aston Villa in the final match, which, maybe set up for a draw that would suit them. So it's bigger for Dinamo Zagreb here, I believe. And I think that, with home advantage, and everyone's their fixtures to come are away at Arsenal, and then they've got to be at home to AC Milan. So this is a must-win match for Zagreb, absolutely must-win match, and a draw they wouldn't mind. I want to go for Zagreb plus a quarter goal, minus 112 against a Celtic side who are absolutely atrocious on the road. So take it on Celtic again. It's a proven formula in Champions League football, and one that you would have only got your fingers burnt twice since 2001 on the road. So I'm prepared to do it.
Dave Clark asked, do you think there'll be goals in the Celtic game? I would probably say yes, because I think both teams will feel like they probably need to go for it. Like you said there, this whole competition now is on the line for Dinamo Zagreb. With those 2 remaining games, this might be their last chance of getting realistic points in the table. So don't underestimate that motivation for those who are watching here. I can tell you now, there's a few maybe on the same chain of thought of you here, Nigel, because only 53% of the moneyline tickets are on Celtic. So it's quite an even split here. You'd expect more than that, but I think there's quite a lot of wise bettors out there as well who know traps when they see one. I'm
not saying they're going to win it. I'm not saying Zagreb are going to win it. I do think 2 play 85, but with the draw as well, just more or less, basically you're getting Zagreb with the draw at the same price you're getting Celtic, aren't you? That's what you're asking. So what do you want? I will take Zagreb in the draw rather than Celtic because of that away road. And with Dave Clark, for older viewers on this show and anyone into music, I think there'll be 5 Dave Clark 5. Do you know that song? Dave Clark 5?
I didn't get that.
Dave Clark 5 was a big band in the 60s. They sang a famous song called, I can't remember what Dave Clark 5. They had a big load of songs in the 1960s, but I'll find out what they sung for you later. I knew you wouldn't know that. I knew you need to be a certain age to get that. I thought you might have been nearer that age, but you're not. But there you go.
There you go. Yes. Liverpool are in action
Yep.
early on. La Liga against Premier League. This is a lot of these early kickoffs have been a little bit, subpar, really, I would say, this season in the Champions League. But this is quite a tasty potential match here. Liverpool, 100% record, the only team who do have that record in the Champions League so far. And, it's no surprise that they are a clear favourite to win this game, minus 250 on the money line now. Actually, there's been a slight move towards Girona the last hour or two, plus 650 for the Spanish outfit here, and the ties at plus 390. Over 3.5 goals is now plus 128. There's a Bet Rivers special here. It's actually a treble today. Liverpool, Bayern Munich, and PSG all to win at minus 109. Raised odds there on that particular parlay. I'm struggling to see beyond a Liverpool win here, to be honest with you, Nigel. I'm not sure I'm that interested in betting them at these odds or even handicaps, but this should be an away win in my personal opinion. How do you see them getting on?
Yeah, one thing I've noticed on the day, though, today, the whole day, there's usually a couple of really big market moves. A lot of big market moves and teams and a lot of big negatives for teams. Today, the market has really been pretty dull. There hasn't really been many market moves, which sort of reflects that it's quite a difficult card. I'm looking at this match here, and I mean, when you look at the team at 250 away from home, my first reaction all the time is, how can I possibly fade them? How can I possibly look to oppose them? With the Liverpool side, it's really, very hard to oppose them. Minus 250 is a very heavy price to take for them on the road, but they are in a league of their own. They're top of the Champions League group, and they're up against a Girona side who are finding life really, really difficult in the Champions League this season. The one thing that Liverpool have done on the road in recent matches is giving you a bit of a chance by conceding goals. They've conceded 10 goals in their last 4 matches. They're fresh as well from the weekend. They didn't play in the Merseyside derby, which means they've got an extra day. They've got an extra week to prepare for this match. They're boosted by the fact that Alisson, their goalkeeper, returns this evening. Whether he gets a spot in the starting lineup, we'll wait to see, because Keller has been absolutely exceptional for Liverpool this season. But I do think that Girona is going to give them a go, and you've got to have a go at Liverpool. And the way that this Champions League is set up, with the position that Girona are in, they have nothing but they have to give them a go. They're 30th in the table, so they've got to go at Liverpool. And from what they've watched in recent weeks, Liverpool could concede. So I think we've got to look around here. If you're looking for the value, I think the value lies potentially on the goal markets here. I would be going towards the overs rather than the unders, because I do give Girona a good chance of scoring against his Liverpool defence. But the problem is Liverpool, I expect to score more than Girona and win the match. So both teams to score, yes, it's a safe bet for me at minus 146. It may not be a price that a lot of people want to place at that kind of odds. But if you're doing a parlay, both teams to score parlays are quite popular with Bet Rivers bettors. Play that at minus 146. Or I would maybe go for a couple of correct scores at big prices. Liverpool 2-1, Liverpool 3-1, something like that. I do expect Liverpool to get the job done. I expect Liverpool to make changes, rest players. They've got a big match at the weekend against Fulham, trying to maintain this run. They're also involved in the League Cup here in midweek. They're involved in the FA Cup matches as well. So matches are coming thick and fast for Liverpool. So they want to protect the players. But I think they'll win this game. I do expect both teams to score. Play it at minus 146. But have a little bit on 2-1 Liverpool, 3-1 Liverpool would make a little bit of sense to me. I think Liverpool get the job done against the Girona side. They've got to go at it. They've got to come out fighting. And I think they'll score against Liverpool.
Yeah, I'd agree. I quite like that 2-1 score to Liverpool. If I was to take any bet in the game, it would be over 3 goals at minus 120. But I think there's a decent chance of that line actually pushing in both directions, whichever way you're going to go. This is the second most wagered game of the day so far in the Champions League with Bet Rivers. The Bayern match, which we're going to talk about next, has nearly 20% of the handle. This has 18% of it. And I think that's no surprise, because it's one of the early games. It's going to attract more interest. Unsurprisingly, most of the tickets and most of the money is with Liverpool in this particular game. There's a few comments about Girona there about taking 10 plus shots for them. They usually do have a go in their matches. They're not a defensive sort of team. So I think, that's not a bad direction for those who fancy it. They do have players who, it's a big game for them. It's maybe a bit like a cup final. And, if you score a wonder goal from distance, you're going to be remembered, aren't you? So I could see a few of their players shooting from range to be fair.
But they've done well. They've done well in the last couple of matches, haven't they? They've come into the season after what they did last season. They started off really, really poorly, but in the last couple of matches domestically, they've done well. And they a couple of draws. They got beat by Real Madrid at the weekend. But in the Champions League as well, it took them a bit of time. But the defeat against PSV was an embarrassing one for them, 4-0 road match, and a loss to Sturm Graz, which was dreadful as well. Yeah, but home to Liverpool. It's a chance to bounce back. They've got to go at it. Nothing to lose, and I think they'll take it to them. I think it'll be a good game to watch this, and I fully expect goals. I really do.
Winston Churchill says Dave Clark 5 formed in Tottenham, London, because was one of their biggest hits. Winston Churchill, of course, he's going to remember, isn't he? And Shakespeare bought their first album. I'm surprised he hasn't been on. They did have a song. It was called "Glad All Over," which they play at Crystal Palace when the teams come onto the pitch. And I'm feeling glad all over, yes, Sam. And I will be glad all over when Zagreb beats Celtic tonight and Liverpool beat Girona 2-1. A lot of comments about the Villa-Leipzig game. Don't worry, we are going to get onto that game very, very soon because we're moving towards the 3 p.m. Eastern kickoffs now. And we've got Red Bull Salzburg against PSG. Actually, no, sorry, we're going to do this sheet first here. Nigel, I'm messing around the order again.
Here we go.
I didn't want to confuse you.
It doesn't take much to confuse me, but you're doing it.
Shakhtar Donetsk against Bayern Munich. This match is going to be played in Germany, in Schalke, Gelsenkirchen, Bayern Munich. Heavy favourites, minus 835. Shakhtar, 18-1. The tie is at plus 850. We've got minus money on over 3.5 goals at minus 112. Now, my best bet of the day, it's a tough day, will come in this game in a goal-scoring form again. And I like Jamal Musiala anytime here with Bet Rivers at plus 108. I think he's the clear standout player in this Bayern team right now. He's playing at a very, very high level. And Bayern have got a lot of injuries. They've actually got 10 players potentially out of this game, including the likes of Harry Kane, Davies. And Musiala at the minute is carrying this attack on his shoulders really well. Scored against Dortmund recently, a brace at the weekend. And I honestly expect, because they're such a favourite about minus 2.25 on the Asian line, I thought he would be honestly about minus 150 to score anytime here. So to get plus money on him with Bet Rivers is, for me, if they do anything offensively, I think he's part of it. I really do.
Well, he's their main goal for it, isn't he? He's going to be the main goal. Will he be on penalties for Harry Kane tonight?
I think he may well be. I mean, knowing Bayern, they've got quite a lot of technical players, but look, he's the sort of bloke who's going to muscle his way in, isn't he, to take penalties if Kane's not on the field. So I think he's a confident player. I rate him, Musiala. So a lot of people don't rate him. They think he's overrated. But I think he's got really something about him.
Do you want to know an interesting fact about him?
Yes.
He went to the same school as me. Different years, but same school as me.
He could have been...
He could have played
for England, right?
He came over from England and he lived in a place called New Malden in Surrey. He went to a school called Christchurch in New Malden, my primary school. Same school as me, but obviously very different years. I knew his grandmother. But let's have a look at this match here in terms of it. I think Bayern Munich here are, with the players they've got out, and they will win this match. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're minus 835. They will win this match, but I'm not quite sure whether they're going to cover these really, really high spreads that they've been asked to do with a reserve side out. It's a 2.25 handicap here. So you're going to only lose your whole lot if Shakhtar win by 3 goals or more. I'm not sorry, Bayern Munich win by 3 goals or more. I'm looking at Bayern Munich to win to 0 here, minus 150. That does interest me. And the way you do that is on the website, the BetRivers website. You click the money line for Bayern Munich and then click Shakhtar to get half a goal. Gives you a price. It's minus 150. I'm looking more towards the under 3.5 here. But I don't think this is going to... You also got Neuer out as well. But you didn't mention Neuer not being there as well. So I quite like... I think Bayern will win this, but I don't think they're going to run in a big score like they did against Zagreb here. I think Shakhtar play with a lot of pride, as we've seen. That match they played against PSV was an absolute disaster for them. I mean, they must have been heartbroken after that performance. It was great for us because we bet PSV, but that was just a really, really tough pill to take for them. But I've got a feeling this might be a little bit tighter in terms of result than the odds suggested, given the fact that Bayern Munich are missing so many key players. I love that Musiala tip. Wouldn't put anyone betting off that. I'm looking at probably a 2-0, 3-0 maximum win for Bayern Munich. So probably brings in the under 3.5 goals as a better bet for me. Under 3.5 goals, 2 or 3-0. And Musiala, maybe, and to boost it up, we're playing to score 2 or more goals, which is plus 510 if he's on the penalties as well. But I don't think this will be as high scoring as many are predicting here. I think this could be quite tight, especially in the first half. And now I expect Bayern Munich to show their quality. But they are missing so many players. That is a worry for me, especially if you're taking minus 835. I can't remember any time where we've ever seen a team missing almost double-figure players and being minus 835 on the money line. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, Shakhtar, to be fair to them, in 4 of the 5 Champions League games they've played, they've covered the main Asian handicap line. Against Arsenal, they only lost 1-0.
Yeah.
And this reminds me a bit of that Arsenal game, actually, where I think Bayern will just want to come here, get the job done, get the win, and move on to the weekend, make sure no one else is injured, get players back then, and move on, probably win 2-0. And Shakhtar have given some credit. They've actually played quite well in the last 2 games. They put up a very good performance against PSV. I didn't expect that from them. Don't know what's changed with Shakhtar recently, but I think their own domestic results have been better as well. So, yeah, I would agree. I think Bayern to win. There's no guarantee Bayern run up a cricket score here at all. But I do like Musiala to score here. And they'll probably get him off the field as well, get a goal or 2 up and then sub him off. They don't want to lose him either, do they?
Nope.
So, let's move on to the next game then. And this is a match that's been so much... I've watched the comments here. There's a lot of people on the Leipzig side, a lot of people on the Villa side. So this genuinely feels like split opinion, Nigel. RB Leipzig are a big price here at plus 190 now with Bet Rivers. Aston Villa at plus 143 and the ties at plus 235. I have a theory why Leipzig, I think if this was match game week 1, I think Leipzig would be about evens to win this game. Is motivation a problem here for Leipzig? They've lost all their Champions League games so far. It's looking pretty bleak for them. Could that be a factor? Because otherwise they look quite a big price to me.
Well, I looked at the games they've played, Leipzig, this season, and they've had a very, very disappointing season, haven't they? And they've cost us a lot of money whenever we've played them, especially domestically as well. We've lost money on, but I don't think anyone's had a tougher set of fixtures. They've played Juventus, Liverpool, then they've gone to away. That was at home, and then away they've Inter Milan, Celtic, and Atletico Madrid. And we know what we said about Celtic being so different at home. So really, I mean, it's a tough order for them to qualify. So motivation is going to be significant, but it's a huge amount of money for them as well. And if they finish strong, they could win it. And it's their next 3 matches. So their European Champions League next 3 matches are at home to Aston Villa. Then they're at home to Sporting Lisbon, who are in free fall at the moment, nowhere near the Sporting Lisbon that we were talking at the start of the campaign. And then Sturm Graz. So it's not inconceivable they could win all 3 matches here and force their way into qualification. So it's a huge match, regardless of where they are in the position of the table at the moment. I'm in agreement with you. I think if it was the first day of the season, I don't think there'd be even money, but I definitely think there'd be a much shorter favour than plus 190. There's been a negative all day for Leipzig. There has been a negative in the last hour for Leipzig. Not massive, but money definitely has come for Aston Villa. But both of these sides have had similar kind of runs recently. They've had bad runs domestically, and they both come into this match on back-to-back wins. But I haven't been convinced by Aston Villa's wins. I thought they were very average at the weekend when a 1-0 win against Southampton. And they look to seem to me that are very leg-weary at the moment, Aston Villa. The same players are playing week in and week out. It's a smallish squad at this kind of time. They're 9th in qualification. I don't think Villa would look at a draw here as a bad result. Their last 2 Champions League matches have been pretty uninspiring. A 0-0 draw against Juventus, which they had a goal disallowed right at the end, and then a 1-0 defeat in Belgium against Club Brugge. So I think under 2.5 goals here at plus 106 is a big price. I think this is a big price. This is a genuine 50-50 call against 2 sides with pretty identical recent runs in terms of their losses and in terms of their back-to-back wins. 2 sides that It's much more important for Leipzig actually to win this match than I would say Aston Villa. Leipzig have got to win it. They've got to win the last 3 matches. But a win here, they're more than capable of doing it. I think Leipzig have been very, very unlucky on the draw. Very unlucky. And I think Aston Villa do all their best work at home. In the Champions League, Aston Villa at home have been sensational. The win over Bayern Munich, the 0-0 against Juventus, and then on the road, slightly uninspiring in recent weeks. They rely so heavily on Ollie Watkins to get goals. He looks tired as well after a long summer as well. And I've got a feeling this could be a very, very dull affair. I like under 2.5 goals here at plus 106 would be my lean. And on the prices, I'd have to go towards Leipzig on the draw no bet market. But it wouldn't surprise me to be a draw here. But the best bet under 2.5 goals, it's plus 106. I'm surprised it's plus money.
I also quite like the under here. I was actually looking at both teams score no plus 123 in the off chance that Leipzig have a good night and beat Villa 3-0 or something like that. Because on a good night, Leipzig can certainly play. The weather is something to consider here. This is actually the coldest forecast of any match this evening. I mean, it's going to be -1 in eastern Germany. This is going to be even colder than in Salzburg today. So that could be, a positive for the under, I think. If for those who actually think that, cold weather affects unders, which I'm certainly of that textbook. Leipzig have had a tough draw, like you said. PSG probably the only team that have had a similar bad luck with the draw. Villa have only conceded 1 goal in the Champions League so far, and generally Unai Emery, when they're an underdog, a perceived underdog perhaps, will sometimes set up quite defensively away. So I would agree. I think this could be a draw. I just wonder what their mindset is, Leipzig, because they've got no points on the board. They're not going to qualify now. They'd have to win their last 3 and hope. But
they can win their last 3. They can win this match. They can win their last 3. I mean, Sporting Lisbon aren't the Sporting Lisbon from the start. I mean, they can. Yeah. Do you think they need to win all 3? Yeah, they probably do need to win all 3. But I mean, they got a lot of money. How much is it? It's a couple of million.
$3 million for every win.
Yeah, 3.7 million. I mean,
there's probably bonuses as well, isn't there, for players? So I'm probably overthinking the motivation at this stage with 3 games to go. But I think Leipzig could look a big price potentially at the end of this match. But I would agree with you. I think under.
I think if the market keeps going and it touches 2-1 Leipzig on the money line, that is too big. Regardless of their season, 2-1 against Aston Villa. Just Aston Villa look tired to me. They got Nottingham Forest at the weekend, haven't they? Aston Villa away, which is a tough match. And following that, they play Man City, and then they play Newcastle. So they've got some real tough matches in the Premier League. And then they've got to go to Monaco, and they've got to go to what's the final Champions League game? They've got the Champions. I can't remember the Champions League game they have. They're home to Celtic on the last Champions League game. So it's some big matches for them. So I know Leipzig are pretty poor, but the price gets to a price here. Villa, the way they are. But I think with the weather and with the way this match is set up, I think under 2.5 goals is definitely the best bet at plus 106 on this match.
Someone asked earlier, what's the best chance of a 0-0 today? Would this be up there on your list?
Yes.
Or one of the possibles?
Yes, I'd have this one. And there potentially could be one with a bit left field a little bit later on. This is a split, which is pretty split with the money as well. 68% of the tickets are actually on Leipzig, but 66% of the money is on Villa. So this is a genuine 50-50 across the board, depending which angle and which opinion you have. I think we see that from the comments as well. All we can say is may the best man win, whatever money line bet you are taking on the game. But we think the goals line's the better angle here. We've got now Brest in action against PSV, and this is such a frustrating game for me, Nigel, because I've got quite strong confidence that PSV will win the game. I think I've got a team news angle and everything like that, and then I look at the odds and I'm like -132 on PSV. It's just if it was even money, I'd be all over them, I think. But at what state? Sometimes I just lose my head and will bet something I know is not value. And I was close here just to sort of doing that because I really want to oppose Brest, but at the odds, it's just Leverkusen were -150 when they played Brest away in, I think, game week 3. I mean, there's no way that Leverkusen are only slightly better than PSV.
This is such a frustrating one for me, Nigel.
I looked at this match here, and when I looked at the odds, and I couldn't believe it. Brest at plus 335. One thing in one rule in life is don't turn down Brest at plus that kind of price. It's too good price. But PSV here, I mean, they're on a brilliant run, but it depends how much you rate the Dutch league. They had that crazy match against Shakhtar, which was incredible. They should have been beaten, and they came back and won. Tremendous team spirit, but they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. Brest have gone all out in the Champions League and given up on their domestic form. They're 11th in the domestic in the French league, and they're 11th in the Champions League table. So it shows you really they're overachieving here. I looked at this match and I just thought to myself, goals. I just think it just screams goals. Over 3 goals was my lean here at plus 108 with exactly 3 goals a push. Just the goal angle. I don't see any other way that it can't be goals. If you look at PSV's last 8 matches, 34 goals in their last 8 matches. That's just an amazing amount of goals being scored in PSV matches by them. The way they played, I think that Shakhtar match was a turning point for them in this competition. They thought, okay, but I think Brest here have been quite lucky on the teams they played in the competition until they ran into a real quality opposition last time out in Barcelona, when they were completely outperformed and they were out their depth, really. I think you would have to go towards PSV, but the price is just no value whatsoever. So in a match where I think goals are on the card, plus 108 goals on the agent at over 3 was my bet.
Brest are missing Ludovic Ajorc to suspension, a big target man forward for them up front. He's a presence and he's done well in the Champions League this season, so I think that's a huge miss. Pierre-Lise Milou, key midfielders, probably injured still. Kenny Lala and Romain Favre are both doubtful. They've been one of the best stories of the Champions League, and they played pretty well in all the games, even when they lost at Barcelona. But I think this is the night I think they flop. I think PSV come here and absolutely, I think they win easily. But I can't bet them at minus 132. I need more. I just need a bigger odds, really, Nigel. So I'm monitoring it. In running, I might get involved here if it looks like.
You like your over bet. You're much more of an over betting man than an under betting man. I've given you a few unders there. Do you think this is an over one?
I just wonder where Brest are going to score a goal from with Ajorc out, Nigel. That would be my concern. But PSV score goals. I mean, they're far too good for the Dutch league right now. I mean, you look at their results domestically; it's crazily good. I mean, they just beat the team in second place 5-2 away from home. So it's really hard to judge them domestically, isn't it? Because they're so strong in their own league, and then in the Champions League, sometimes they're going to be tested a bit more. Yeah. I would go over because I think PSV could cover it on their own.
Well, that's why I said that 34 goals in their last 8 matches wasn't total goals. That was goals by PSV. They scored 34 goals in the last 8 matches. Their goal difference after 15 matches in the Dutch league is plus 44. Utrecht in second. They've only lost 2. Utrecht have only lost 2 matches in second. Their goal difference is plus 9. So they have just a huge amount of goal scoring ability, and they concede as well. And I just think that this could be a 3-1, 4-1 Brest PSV match. I just think this goals. I agree with you. When I saw the odds, I thought I'm going to make a case for Brest here at plus 335, but when I broke it down, I just couldn't. And the minus 132 PSV looked too short, so I just concentrate on goals. But I do think goals in this one.
Would you ever bet on something which you just know you've got high confidence in, but you know the odds are not there, or are you more disciplined that way?
Yeah, I think sometimes you've always got to bet when you think it's value. That's what
at least fair. Yeah.
What I determine value and what the other people determine value might not be value. Some people watching the show might make PSV minus 150 and think minus 132 is value. I don't. I make them about a minus 120 shot, so I wouldn't bet them on minus 132. So value is determined by the beholder. It's what he considers to be value. That's what betting's all about. The bookies the bookmakers give their odds and what they think that they can get two-way markets on, and they hope for two-way markets on, and then we make our decisions on where we go. So I'm going to go for goals plus 108.
Does anyone in chat make a case for Brest here? Does anyone think that they are overpriced and are worth? I was going to say a nibble on there, but I better not.
Come on! You're in La La Land, deal that La La Land.
Literally Kenny La La Land. Yeah. Right.
You said you always flop as well around Brest earlier. I was going to pull you up on that one, but I thought I'll leave it.
Oh gosh,
that's the way the show. That's the way the show's going. It's going downhill.
Well, yeah. Here we go. We're going to go to Bayer Leverkusen against Inter here. I think this is a very tasty matchup, and we've got Bayer Leverkusen at plus 128 now. Inter at plus 220. You don't often see them this sort of odds anywhere, really. The tie is at plus 235. Over 2.5 goals is the favourite at minus 121. Bayer Leverkusen have only lost 2 games all season. Inter have only lost 1 game all season. Is it a simple case of we're going to get a draw here, Nigel? Or sometimes, I think X2 double chance would be something worth considering here, because Bayer Leverkusen don't play against this sort of team that often.
Well, I mean, this is looking at the position of both of them in the table as well. And that sort of is the way that I'm looking at the table positions and trying to think how the game will plan out with the way that the managers will treat this match. A draw here would be a fabulous result for both of them. Leverkusen in 6th, Inter in 2nd. I think they'll be absolutely delighted with the point each. And it isn't a simple case of betting the tie, but I think the tie at plus 230, the biggest option of all 3, is the best value here. You said to me, which one would I think the 0-0 would be the one I predicted would be 0-0. Amazing in a Bayer Leverkusen match. I would say a 0-0 in here. Inter haven't conceded in the Champions League yet. Them and Atalanta, the only 2 sides who haven't. Inter unbeaten in 13 matches. Under 2.5 goals here is minus 104. I love that. I think that the draw at halftime is a great bet here. I think the first half will be very, very cagey. The draw at halftime is available at a massive plus 123. I think it may open up in the second half, but I'm not 100% sure. Inter have a massive match at the weekend away at Lazio in the Serie A. So that's a big match at the top of the table. But I think this here could just sort of go out to a non-event. I think this could be a draw. The other thing I like here is I think if it does go the way I think it will go, where it be not really much in it and both sides sort of playing out for a draw from an early stage, maybe from like the sort of last 20 minutes or so. I like the low on the cards. I think under the cards here, Bayer Leverkusen, Inter, 2 sides that, you would expect to see some cards. I think the line is around about 5. But I think if we believe this is going to be playing out for a draw, I think everything will go down. Goals, cards, that kind of game. So my bet will be a draw, plus 230. I like that. Biggest price of all. It was plus 235 when I was doing my notes an hour ago. So money has come for it. I'm going for under goals at under 2.5 and minus 104. A draw at halftime. And if you can get on those cards markets, I know certain states in America don't allow you to bet on that market, but if you can bet on under 4.5 or under 4 cards, I would bet under cards as well. I don't think this is going to be a feisty match at all. I like the draw.
I like the draw. I think this may be my second best bet of the day, actually, which I can't believe I'm saying that on the draw, but I think it just suits both teams. By the way, with Leverkusen, Victor Boniface is out until the end of 2024. There's a house special, but be careful with this one and wait for the lineups, because Patrick Schick or Lautaro Martinez to score first in this game is plus 275. It's a Bet Rivers house special, but there is a doubt over Schick's fitness. So do check those lineups. And that's a problem, I think, for Leverkusen is I'm not sure where they're going to get the goals from here, because Inter are very, very good defensively. Leverkusen don't face many teams that are this good defensively at all. So it's going to be a conundrum for them how they get the goals. But it might come to a stage where it's 0-0 after an hour and both teams are thinking, do you know what? It doesn't matter if it stays 0-0. Yeah, it's not a bad result for us. That's what I'm thinking. That's the way. That's the way. Sometimes you read a match and you read it completely perfectly, and it plays out. Sometimes you read it horrifically, and that's the way I'm looking at this one here. Just to change the subject quietly, the team news are out for Liverpool against Girona. Liverpool have gone very, very, very strong. They've got a front 3 of Diaz. They've got Nunez and Salah. They've got Alisson back. His returns. Curtis Jones, Gravenberg, and Shalashki in midfield. Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson as the back 4. Very, very attack-minded. They're playing a 4-3-3 with 3 strikers in Diaz, Salah, and Nunez. That enhances my play on the over. Both teams to score on the overs in that match. I think that's a very, very attack and a strong Liverpool side they've gone with there. And I still think Girona might be able to get at them. So I'm happy with that. Both teams to score play there on the back of that team news. Yeah, it looks like Girona going very, very festive with their formation, the Christmas tree formation, 4-3-2-1. You don't see too many of those if that is indeed how they are going to be lining up. I can tell you now the latest odds on Liverpool to win that game are -286, and Girona have drifted out to +750 on the back of that strong 11 from Liverpool. So yeah, Bayer Leverkusen into there. We do like the unders. We do like that draw. Some interesting suggestions on the chat there. Mbuelo Charles, Inter continue with their solid performance. Inter and draw under 2.5 goals is his bet. Half-time draw and into full-time, Brian is quite liking. The card, the referee averages 3.3. I think he's from Slovenia. Yeah. Don't know much about him, to be honest. I did look, but he's not a referee that springs to mind too often. But Peter may well have a very good point there as well in terms of the referee angle.
Well, the referee is obviously the most important thing as well, but then the game state as well, the players, the intensity of the game goes down when they're both playing, if they both want to play for a draw. So with the stats of the referee, that makes that bet even a nicer play.
Yeah, so that is the game there, Leverkusen against Inter. We've got 3 more fixtures to talk about. Red Bull Salzburg against PSG, and this is
just
really
one other thing. We've got the team news out as Dinamo Zagreb against Celtic as well, and the Zagreb side isn't that bad. The 2 players I wanted to see playing, the striker Kulinovic, who scored I think 4 goals in the Champions League so far, he starts, and the number 10 Batterina, Martin Batterino's. A lot of teams in the Premier League are after this guy, 21 years of age. They say to him, he's the next Modric. He's a very, very good player. Those 2 are the team that I really wanted to see. They both start for Zagreb, and that really does help my bet. I don't know whether there's been a market move since the team news are there. They were +285, but I wanted to get with Zagreb on the half a goal at -112.
They're even bigger now. The money's coming for Celtic again, -124.
Oh, that's just lunacy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
This is the reputation, isn't it? And, Zagreb are out to +310. Where is your money going after seeing the lineups in that Zagreb Celtic game, guys? Are you going to trust a Celtic team who, was it 34 defeats out of 41 away from home in the Champions League? A stat that you couldn't
only
believe.
2 wins. Only 2 wins since 2001. Haven't won on the road in the Champions League since 2017.
-124.
You can bet Zagreb now +0.5 a goal with the draw on your side at -103, so even money.
Wow,
just even money. I think that's to me that's the best bet of the night.
Okay, Red Bull Salzburg against PSG. PSG, another team, have had a really tough fixture schedule in the Champions League. And it doesn't get a lot easier after this either. This is by far their easiest fixture on the card, so it becomes must-win, really. They've got Man City at home and Stuttgart away after this. So this is no surprise that PSG are -455 now on the money line. Salzburg are roughly an 11-1 shot. The tie at +575 here. I mean, I've got no real angle on this game. I've got to be honest, Nigel. I think PSG will win it, but they just, as long as they get the 3 points, I think they'll be happy here. They've struggled to score goals in the Champions League. They got a 0-0 on Friday. Someone put it in the comments about against Auxerre. They can't trust them after that. They had 25 shots, no goal. Been a similar story in the Champions League. What do you think on this one? I think it's a tough game.
Well, again this morning when I was breaking these matches down, I wanted to look at the Asian handicap and get with Paris Saint-Germain on the Asian handicap, and then I saw the Asian handicap was -2 and it was -110. So you got to trust Paris to win by more than 3 goals. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No team needs to win more than Paris Saint-Germain. I think they will be bet this evening, and no reason they're probably holding most of the handle, because people love to get with the big teams that need to win. They're 25th in the tables. They need to get this result. They've got some big matches coming up. They would consider this one to be one of their easiest matches, but they are so low in price. I think they will win, but to cover the handicap, -2. I mean, I couldn't. To win by 3 goals, this current Paris Saint-Germain side, I wouldn't bet them to win by 3 goals against anyone in this competition. And Red Bull are one of the weakest ones. So -110 is the line you've got to play. I thought we might play 1.5. I thought it might be like 1.25, but it's not. It's 2 goals. And at 2 goals, I couldn't play. So really, I've got no angle on this match at all. I think there's better options this evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big handicap. Under 3.5 goals, I think that's quite a big price at even money, actually, because, again, weather here, this isn't like, this is not like The Sound of Music in the summer. Salzburg tonight. It's -1 degree Celsius. It's going to be cold. I think PSG just rock up and do what they need to do. Someone put in the chat earlier about Dembele is suspended, so Barcola anytime I think might be a popular bet here in this particular game. Duncan, don't even get me started about the Club World Cup and how Salzburg are in it. Don't even get me started on that. If you want value in the PSG game, just go with PSG halftime, full time, says Mios. I think that might be about evens off the top of my head. I'm just looking now for this one. Oh, no, it's -148.
Yeah,
-148.
There's nowhere near evens. I mean, it's a heavy price. And Bet Rivers has got about 550 different markets on this. So if you can't find a bet on the markets that we're discussing here, you'll be able to find one on the other markets. But I concentrate primarily on the Asian handicaps, total goals, and money lines. I don't really look at props. I don't really look at a lot of the other markets. But you can make a case for that. And I look at the Asian handicaps, and I just think the 2-goal handicap looks a trap.
Dan Roebuck, Brest beat Salzburg 4-0 away at PSG, better than Brest. I mean, if you base it on that, then this ends 8-0.
Yeah,
Dan. But there's different circumstances, and don't underestimate the pressure on PSG here. They have to win this game. Otherwise, if they don't actually win this, there's a massive danger they don't qualify for the last, even the playoff round. But I think they'll win. If I had to give a correct score, I'd say 2-0 to PSG here, personally. Just give it a plug out here to the newsletter. I put it in the chat there. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, then do join us. It's absolutely free of charge, and there's some exclusive picks each week, futures as well. I've got a Champions League play tomorrow on that, the one that was released on Monday. It's coming out weekly, so do subscribe to that newsletter if you've not already. Be straight in your email inbox. Do give it a go. Okay, Atalanta, Real Madrid. This is a real pick'em game. Should be a good one. Repeat of the Super Cup from earlier in the summer. 2-0 win for Real Madrid that day. But Atalanta since then perhaps have come on. I think they're quite an underrated team, actually. +170 now. They are the slight dog. Real Madrid have been backed into +150. Certainly more of an imminent need for Real Madrid to win the game than Atalanta. But it's one of those, again, I look at it a little like the Inter match. I don't think a draw's terrible for either team. I personally think unders are quite a big price here. I certainly think Atalanta are one of the best coach sides in Europe. Does it mean they're going to get a result? Not necessarily, but I think they're underrated.
Very much so. Against possibly, you could say, an overrated Real Madrid on current form. Would you say this is an underrated side against a slightly overrated? They are boosted massively by the fact that Vinicius Jr. will return this evening, play some part in this match. And you've also boosted the fact that Bellingham is playing well again. I mean, Jude Bellingham has had a very, very tough start to the season. They tried to find him in all various different positions to compensate Mbappe, but he is on fire at the moment, scoring goals and looking like back to that world-class best. I mean, he was exceptional the weekend against Girona. He scored 3 in his last 3 and 5 in his last 6. The only match he didn't score against was the match against Liverpool, where he had an off day. But, I mean, it's every time we come onto this show, we always mention Bellingham, and the prop that always stands out is Bellingham to have a shot on target. And I think tonight, Bellingham to have a shot on target at -109 is the best prop on the card. It's a regular bet we have here. Bet Rivers never change the line. They always seem to be the best price. It always seems to cash every time I see Rory Barlow or Will White. They mentioned Bellingham on here, and I thought I'd join the party. Bellingham to have a shot on target tonight, -109. He's back in form. As way as the match is going to go, I think this is a very, very tough one to call. I really do. I did say earlier that Atalanta was the second. There's only Inter Milan who conceded. I said Atalanta hadn't conceded. They've conceded 1 goal in that 6-1 win they had last time out. But both their matches at home in the Champions League have ended 0-0, haven't they, against Arsenal and Celtic. So I think this could be like quite a low-scoring match again. Real Madrid are desperate for the win. They need the win so much. And I think, again, we see the move for a team that needs to win. The champions of Europe need to win. It means the betting public want to get involved in them. Their best player is back as well, Vinicius Jr. The players are playing well. But it doesn't always go like that. So I'm going to stick to that prop. Bellingham to have a shot on target, -109. And I'm leaning towards under 2.5 goals in this match because I think this is an underrated Atalanta side, who, as you say, are coached superbly. So I think this is going to be a close one. This could be
first half,
five. Sorry, just to interrupt again. I think this could be a feisty one as well. I mean, historically, Italian and Spanish matchups in Champions League have been very, very feisty. Lots of cards. Atalanta, we don't consider to be like a dirty side. If it was Juventus in their position, or it was Inter Milan, we would expect it to be quite feisty. Real Madrid, if Real Madrid go behind in this match, they're in big, big trouble, Real Madrid. And this could end in this. There could be a sending off in this match. I think this will be a feisty affair. Biggest match of the night. The league leaders of Italy against the league leaders and the champions of Europe who need a win. This has got all the ingredients to be a feisty one.
Well, I'll give you a player to be carded then. Martin de Roon. He's the biggest fouler in the Atalanta team. He gets stuck in and could be under huge pressure from that Real Madrid midfield. Plus 240 to be carded at any time. He is the favourite in that market, but he's a favourite for good reason. Yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you said there. The first half in the Super Cup final was 0-0, and there was nothing happened at all. And I think this will be under 3 goals is minus 125.
Yeah.
Now, that is a bet. If you'd bet under 3 goals in every single Real Madrid match this season, either in La Liga or in Champions League, you would not have lost that bet. Every match has gone under 3.5 goals away from home for Real Madrid.
And Atalanta 0-0 in both their home matches in this competition as well.
Yeah, so I think the under 3's got a few legs here, really. I don't like Real Madrid against anyone decent at the minute. I think Real Madrid are doing very well against anyone that they should be beating, but against the good teams, they've been struggling. So for those who are betting on Real Madrid on the money line, I think it's one of those that you've got to be careful. 88% of the tickets are on Real Madrid, but just 65% of the money. So I think there's obviously quite a bit of shrewd money on Atalanta here as well. That's on the money line. And just 70% of the money is on the over, that's quite low for an over. Generally, overs are just back blind, aren't they? So this could be, I don't think 0-0, but I think 1-all is possibly on the cards here. I do repeat what I said. I think the draw is not a bad result for either. A lot of people saying that Madrid have to win the game. They don't have to win it. They get 7 points, and then they've got 2 more matches left on the card. And I have not got that written down who they've got, but I think at least one of them is a pretty easy fixture off the top of my head.
Who's this, Real Madrid?
So, yeah, Real Madrid, yeah.
They have to, I've got them here. Hold on, I've got to get my spreadsheet up. They have to go to home to Salzburg, and then they weigh up Brest.
I mean, but both very winnable games. So they have to win it. Draw's not terrible.
Drawing about I think this could be a feisty one as well. But I do think the under's definitely the one. Under 3 is a great play.
Oh hell, Dan Roebuck agrees with me on de Roon to be booked. He's ready for a clean game tonight, isn't he? Let's have a look at some of the comments today. Rick,
he never learns, does he? He never learns. He gave Man City the weekend. This is better all time against Crystal Palace. Never learns.
Yeah. Suddenly de Roon is thinking he can get away with anything here if he's watching. Rick says he doesn't see Atalanta losing. Disky likes Atalanta +1 on the Asian. Let's go to the final game on the card today. I've got the wrong graphic again. I've got the wrong one there. I'm getting excited. Club Brugge against Sporting Lisbon. Wow, what has happened to Sporting Club since Ruben Amorim left them? I mean, they're +150 now. I think they're actually even bigger at the time of going live. I'm just checking now, Nigel. Yeah, +160. And Club Brugge are actually +175. The tie's been backed. It's the tie that's been backed into +230. Over 2.5 goals is at -150. I mean, the form of Sporting's just gone off a cliff since Amorim's left. I think we'd probably be backing them here if it was the same manager in charge, but things have changed radically. Suddenly, I'm thinking, draw no bet on Club Brugge is almost like an automatic fade of Sporting. What do you think?
Well, I mean, this is a difficult one to assess. I mean, what price would you have been Sporting Lisbon here under Amorim? Even money?
Even?
Plus 110? Yeah, I think plus 110. So there's a big move over a very short period of time. And usually when there's a big move over a short period of time, I want to stay with the team that's got bigger. But I think he's such a big presence, Amorim, that this is a problem. And a lot of players may think they may be leaving the club potentially in the January window, joining him? Is it potential? Is it all going to go unraveled at Sporting Lisbon? I don't know, but the recent results have been shocking. I mean, they've been huge favourites to win their last couple of matches in the domestic league, and they got beaten both of them. So this is a big move. But have Club Brugge become a very, very good team overnight? They're miles.
Well, they beat Villa.
I know they did, but
Villa.
that was a leg-weary Villa. Who I think they had a huge match, didn't they, prior to that, and in the Premier League. And we've said about Villa in their. I'm not massively convinced by Villa on the road. It's a good win, but I don't believe they're suddenly well beat in a short period of time. So again, these are two matches that at the start of the tour would be nothing like the reflection of the price you're taking. So you've got to look at it and think, well, how do we do it? Again, I looked at a spread. I looked at some specials. I tried to look through and find some value on the specials because I thought it was a tough match to call. I found some guy called Hans Vanaken who plays for Bruges. You'll know a little bit more about him than me. He's a midfielder, but he's the second highest assists player. Scored the most assists across the Belgium league, and he scored 5 goals as well this season. I looked at him in some markets if you fancy goals. But really, that was all I could offer. I mean, I was trying to delve into players I didn't really know much about to try and look if there was any value in those markets, because the outright market, it goes totally against what I've traditionally would want to do here. Every part of me would be wanting to bet Sporting Lisbon here at a price that's got too big, because I don't think that a 2-match or a 3-match sample is big enough to sort of meet the odds move that quickly. But people like yourself want to be on Bruges, so it's leveled it out for me. So, conclusion, no bet for me on this one.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are, wanting to bet on Sporting, I mean, you've got to consider, like Nigel just said there, they lost against a team called Moreirense as a minus 300 favourite. They lost at home to a team called Santa Clara, who are from the Azores Islands. They're on a different time zone.
Team, Santa Clara, they come good at December. They're very good at December.
Yeah. Minus 500 that day. And they lost at home to them. So, look, there might be some Sporting fans on here. We sometimes have some Sporting fans in the chat. What has happened to your team since Amorim left? Club Brugge are always one of them sides. I don't often get them right, to be honest, Nigel. So it might be music to Sporting Lisbon's ears that I don't fancy them to do well here. Bruges are just a difficult side for me down the years. But this looks, in theory, a favourable spot for them. I think this could be a tight game. I'm not sure there'll be that many goals in it. Gyökeres, for those who like him to score here, plus 130. I mean, that would have looked a massissive price under Amorim. Not so much now. It's I think the draw no bet on Club Brugge just got to be worth a nibble here. I just don't see them losing it the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't play. I just wouldn't play. I think they're in a transition period at the moment, and I'm not so sure. For me, I wouldn't have a bet on this one, but good luck if you do.
87% of the tickets are on Sporting, though, along with 78% of the money. So a lot of the public money there does like the Portuguese side. They are the better team on paper, no doubt about it. If you go 1 to 11, they are the better team and squad. It's a question of can they get their act together now under this new manager. But yeah, that concludes the card for today. Someone was asking what your best bet for the day would be.
Okay, I'll go through them. I'm going to bet Celtic plus Zagreb plus 0.5 against Celtic. I think the approaching even money is the wrong price for the reasons I said. I know Zagreb may have some injuries, but their best 2 offensive players are playing. Celtic have this awful record. They've only won twice on the road in the Champions League since 2001. And the last road win was in 2017, and yet you're being asked to bet them at very, very heavy minus money. So Zagreb plus 0.5 at evens will be my bet. That Liverpool team's come out. It's extremely attack-minded. Girona have gone quite attacking as well. I fancy goals. Both teams to score, yes. It's going to be quite low, but I would put that into a parlay. If you're looking for a pizza money correct score, maybe 2-1, 3-1 Liverpool. Leave Shakhtar against Bayern Munich. I'm going to leave Leipzig against Leipzig, Aston Villa. I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals at plus 106. Brest v PSV. I'm leaving. Leverkusen and Inter going for the draw plus 230 and under 2.5 and minus 104. Red Bull v Paris Saint-Germain. Too trappy. The handicap at 2 is too trappy. Atalanta Real Madrid again under 3. I like that. And I actually like goals in the Brest v PSV. Mine over 3 at plus 108. And Bruges Sporting Lisbon, I'm leaving that as well. We can't hear you, Steve.
Yeah, my best bet of the day is Musiala at score anytime for Bayern, plus 108 with Bet Rivers. My second best bet of the day is actually that tie in the Inter game, Leverkusen into the tie. And a third one, it's a tough card. I'm not really that big today. I would say under 3 goals in the Real Madrid match at Atalanta. And I've actually just done an under 3.5 goals parlay here, which I quite like. 3.5 line. Leipzig, Villa, Atalanta, Real Madrid, Leverkusen, Inter, and it plays plus 191. I think all those 3 games certainly go under 3.5 and may well go under 2.5. So, yeah, best of luck whatever you are taking. We've got an interesting comment here. Gershau Mercado. I'm a rival of a fan of sporting, Porto fan here. They're having an identity crisis that leads to low confidence. Low confidence. Still creating big chances, but somehow they're failing what they were doing a few weeks ago. Maybe if those chances get converted, then
he's delighted. Well done. Yeah, I bet he's delighted.
Yeah. Well, suddenly the title race is open, isn't it? Benfica are 2 points behind them. I think they've got a game in hand. Porto has suddenly got a chance as well. It looked like it was in the bag for Sporting, and I mean, this move has not done either club any favours so far, has it?
Yeah,
Man United are losing.
I've got to bet there. Duncan Evans has put up Swansea to beat Plymouth in the Championship tonight there. And that was actually put up by Neil Channing on the dojo this week. And he made a very, very good case for them. But they were 11, they were plus 110 earlier week. They're nowhere near that. They're heavy minus money now. Wayne Rooney's a manager under huge pressure. His Plymouth side are the worst in the Championship. You would expect Swansea to win it. But again, if we had this conversation on Monday, I'd be all over it. But at these prices, there's no value on them.
Oh, thank you very much, Nigel. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us live or on demand. Let's hope we can cash some winners in the Champions League this evening. And join us tomorrow. Myself and professional gambler Will White will be going through the whole card again on Betting Weekly Live, the last Champions League match day before Christmas. But yeah, best of luck, Nigel, and thanks again.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Take care, y'all. And remember to gamble responsibly.